Clark is a star. She is one of the most decorated women athletes.
Caitlin Clark has captivated the nation, breaking scoring records in college and bringing women's basketball to a whole new audience.
This book is so interesting, and it's really about a phenom, as you call it in the sports world, Caitlin Clark.
The instant Caitlin Clark's latest book hit the shelves, everything shifted. Social media went wild, news outlets blazed with headlines, and behind the scenes of the WNBA, the pressure skyrocketed.
Caitlin Clark has changed the game. She changed it in college and in the WNBA.
What was intended as a tribute to a once-in-a-generation talent is now uncovering deep fractures within the league. Envy, resistance, turmoil.
Jealousy and resentment as a white player became the top story in a predominantly black league.
Yet through it all, Caitlin continues to soar. If you're 100% behind Caitlin Clark, show your support by dropping a 100% in the comments. Because what's coming next could shake the very foundation of the WNBA.
She is a phenomenon.
Her presence and her impact in women's basketball is referred to as the Caitlin Clark effect.
Caitlin Clark was never expected to become a household name, not in a league that has fought for decades just to stay visible. And yet here she is, at the forefront, rewriting the story of what's possible in women's sports. Now, her new book, On Her Game, lifts the curtain even further, revealing just how powerful her influence truly is.
Christine Brennan writes a book about Caitlin Clark and the revolution behind women's basketball. This Christine Brennan book. It's called On Her Game, Caitlin Clark and the Revolution in Women's Sports.
And why it has the WNBA so uneasy.
Christine Brennan, she's now written a book called On Her Game, Caitlin Clark and the Revolution in Women's Sports.
Christine Brennan is releasing her book about Caitlin Clark. And
penned by veteran sports journalist Christine Brennan, this unauthorized biography doesn't sugarcoat or sanitize anything. It's raw, unfiltered, and sparking conversations everywhere. Not just because of what it reveals.
It is causing such a crazy stir amongst fans,
but because of what it exposes about the league itself. For 6 weeks, Brennan shadowed Clark.
You spent 6 weeks on the road with Caitlin and the Indiana Fever, covering games, practices, and press conferences.
Attending her press conferences, practices, games, and even private moments behind the scenes. What she witnessed was more than just an extraordinary athlete. It was a cultural shift in motion.
She is, of course, as you said, a phenomenon, as we say in the book.
Men who had never given women's sports a second thought now arrange their nights around her games.
And I interviewed a lot of these guys who are putting on the number 22 jersey, going to the grocery store, going to the game, planning their evenings around the starting time of Caitlin Clark's game.
Grown adults proudly wear her number 22 jersey at grocery stores. Kids, both boys and girls, line up hours before tip-off just for the chance to see her up close. And here's what hits hardest. Brennan argues this isn't just a flash of hype. This is something the world has never seen before in women's team sports. Not with Serena Williams, not with Simone Biles. Caitlin Clark stands as the first true crossover superstar in a team-based sport at this scale.
TV ratings, the audience, but it's about a person that the nation, I think, has correctly fallen in love with.
She's not an Olympian, not a solo tennis champion. She's a basketball player. And that changes everything. This is the athlete America unknowingly built. Thanks to Title IX, thanks to parents tossing balls to their daughters in backyards, thanks to decades of women refusing to accept no until someone like Caitlin finally said, "Watch me."
Title IX, which, by the way, has just celebrated its 53rd anniversary.
Now, as she dominates the headlines and embodies the promise of what women's sports could be, she's rattling a system that was never prepared for her arrival. But while fans are celebrating her ascent, not everyone is thrilled.
She is the all-American girl, grown up. She, frankly, is that girl that parents see in the kitchen every morning who is racing off to soccer practice and then changing in the car.
The book shines a light on just how ill-prepared the WNBA and some of its players were for the tidal wave Caitlin unleashed. And that's where the story takes its sharpest turn. Because the bigger Caitlin becomes, the more vulnerable the league appears. And this This is only the beginning.
For generations, we were saying no to girls and women. You cannot learn about sports.
Caitlin Clark didn't just step into the WNBA. She stormed in and blew the doors off their hinges. With an army of fans, wall-to-wall media attention, million-dollar NIL deals, and a game that speaks louder than words, her arrival was more than just exciting. It was disruptive.
She and her team, the Iowa Hawkeyes, drew more television viewers for the women's NCAA championship than the men drew in their NCAA double championship game.
And that disruption revealed an uncomfortable reality. The WNBA wasn't ready for Caitlin Clark, and frankly, neither were many of its players. Christine Brennan's book pulls no punches here. She goes straight to the heart of it.
Caitlin Clark is that person.
She's a beneficiary of
She's
this.
a beneficiary. She is, frankly, what we created.
The league has long been dominated by Black players who've spent years being underpaid, underpromoted, and ignored by mainstream sports media. Then, seemingly overnight, a white player from Iowa bursts in and gets everything. The spotlight, the sponsorships, the sold-out arenas. The resentment, absolutely real.
But it has not always been a smooth ride to her deserved stardom and deserved success.
Brennan puts it bluntly, if I were a Black player, this would bug the hell out of me. That's not her speculation. It's a frank acknowledgement of the growing tension.
What Caitlin Clark's first year in the WNBA looked like and the lack of preparation from the league level.
With nearly 3/4 of the WNBA's roster being Black, some players feel that Caitlin didn't earn the spotlight. She just inherited it. But here's what that argument overlooks. Caitlin Clark did earn it, every last bit. From grinding on dusty gym floors in West Des Moines to breaking records, outscoring legends, and carrying Iowa to NCAA finals.
Other needle movers in sports, Michael Jordan is Black. Simone Biles, Serena Williams are both Black. Tiger Woods called himself Cablinasian. Why is there so much negative attention to Caitlin Clark being white?
For the longest time, this was seen and still is as a majority Black league. And it is 74% Black. And so I think all of us understand that the issues that can come up in that situation. And hey, I'm sitting here talking to you as a white woman, you're a white man, and we will never live 1 minute.
She's proven herself over and over. The real failure here isn't Caitlin's, it's the league's. Brennan makes that crystal clear. As Caitlin's college games shattered attendance and TV records, the WNBA did nothing to prepare its players for what her arrival would mean.
Jealousy and resentment as a white player became the top story in a predominantly Black league.
No tough conversations, no media training, no bridge building between Caitlin and the veterans who felt threatened by her. So what happened instead? The tension exploded, fast. You've seen the videos, the cheap shots, the eye poke, the constant elbows, the Players Association releasing statements attacking journalists for daring to ask about Caitlin Clark. That's not just tension, that's a league spiraling, reacting instead of leading. Let's be real. Much of this stems from jealousy.
Did you intend to hit her in the eye? And if so, could you just, or if not, either way, could you talk about what happened on that play?
I don't even know why I would intend to hit anybody in the eye. That doesn't even make sense to me. But no, I didn't. I didn't know I hit her, actually. I was trying to make a play on the ball, and I guess I followed through and I hit her. So obviously it's never intentional. That's not even like the type of player that I am.
Brennan describes it plainly in her book and interviews. Many WNBA players feel they spent years fighting in obscurity, only to watch Caitlin Clark walk in and instantly become the face of the movement they helped build. That frustration boiled over when Angel Reese publicly blasted the media, saying she was too ghetto for their narrative. She didn't say Caitlin's name, but the message was clear. And through it all, Caitlin hasn't cracked. She hasn't fired back. She hasn't played the victim. Instead, she stayed focused, thanking fans, signing autographs for everyone, and showing poise under pressure.
WNBA ripped her a new one. They called her out. They wrote a whole message like on behalf of the 144, which is 144 players.
The WNBA PA came out against Christine Brennan because she was questioning DeJournay about the eye poke situation.
Even when reporters pushed her into political hot water, She never blamed others. When asked about the backlash, she simply replied, "Don't use my name to promote hate." That's grace. That's leadership. And the biggest irony?
Controversy surrounding the eye poke saga, where Dejanay Carrington poked Caitlin Clark in the eye.
The very league that failed to embrace her impact is now cashing in on it. The same players who felt threatened are now enjoying better pay, improved travel, and sold-out crowds thanks to her.
WNBA ripped her a new one. They called her out. They wrote a whole message like on behalf of the 144, which is 144 players.
The WNBA PA came out against Christine Brennan because she was questioning Dejanay about the eye poke situation.
Brennan reveals just how deep the divide runs. When she questioned a WNBA player about a rough playoff incident involving Caitlin, the blowback was immediate and coordinated. The Players Association accused her of baiting black athletes into racist narratives. But Brennan, who's grilled sports icons like Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, and Michael Phelps, fired back. Are we saying women don't deserve the same tough questions men get? That exchange exposed something bigger, a fear within the WNBA. A fear that Caitlin Clark isn't just changing the league.
Always thanking others, talking about her role, doing autographs before, after, making sure if she misses a kid, coming back to that kid, and not just girls. She talks about girls and boys.
But exposing its cracks, favoritism, bitterness, weak leadership.
Christine Brennan asked Dejanay, she said, "Dejanay, when you went and kind of swatted at Caitlin, did you intend to hit her in the eye?"
And yet Caitlin keeps her composure. Brennan describes her as 22 going on 40, someone who shakes hands firmly, looks you in the eye, and never ducks a challenge.
This was in regards to DeWanna Bonner. Just a couple of minutes after Carrington's interview session was over and she walked away, I was standing near the other reporters at the side of the court when her teammate DeWanna Bonner walked toward me. "You disrespected my teammate."
For a league that's been begging for mainstream relevance for decades, Caitlin Clark delivered it. But instead of fully embracing her, parts of the WNBA turned on her, not because she did anything wrong, but because she did everything they never expected. And now, the league has no choice but to face the truth. The Caitlin Clark effect is here, and it isn't going away anytime soon.
Dejanay Carrington overheard them talking and started accusing them of saying she's a bad teammate. This is what the WNBA, which is the Players Association, wrote to Christine Brennan afterwards. A message on behalf of the 144. To unprofessional members of the media like Christine Brennan, you are not fooling anyone. That so-called interview in the name of journalism was a blatant attempt to bait a professional athlete in participating in a narrative that is false and designed to fuel racist, homophobic, and misogynistic vitriol on social media. You cannot hide behind your tenure.
Caitlin Clark has transcended being just a basketball player. She's become something much larger, a force the WNBA and the media never saw coming. Today, she's a cultural icon, mentioned in the same breath as LeBron James, Serena Williams, and even Taylor Swift. But the real question is, how did we get here? How did a 6-foot guard from Iowa, who started out playing against boys in her driveway, become the most talked about figure in women's sports, while also igniting a cultural and racial firestorm within the league she was supposed to elevate? It all began with something the old sports establishment couldn't have predicted: the power of NIL, name, image, and likeness.
I didn't like the way Brennan phrased her question at the time. It was almost too accusatory, but the question itself, I mean, those are the kind of questions, those are big boy and girl pants questions.
Before she ever set foot on a WNBA court, Caitlin had already secured at least $3 million in NIL deals, partnering with brands like Nike, Gatorade, and State Farm. But this was more than just endorsement money. It was visibility, cultural clout. While others toiled away in anonymity, Caitlin was everywhere. Commercials, interviews, social media feeds. And here's what made it even more explosive. Those ads weren't just playing during her games. They featured her.
WNBA official, she says this. She says, "I have a simple test about whether questions are appropriate or not. They should not be vulgar, they should not be rude, or they should not be inappropriate. Your questions were not vulgar, rude, or inappropriate. Your questions were fine. Unfortunately, most of our players have zero idea what real media exposure is."
Brennan describes watching a broadcast cut to commercial, only to see Caitlin appear again seconds later in a State Farm ad, smiling in her jersey. She never left viewers' screens. In a media landscape where constant visibility equals influence, Caitlin became unavoidable. She stopped being just Iowa's star and started symbolizing possibility. She filled college arenas with 20,000 fans, shattered TV records, and turned dads who'd never watched a women's game into season ticket holders. It wasn't just her long-range shooting, it was her confidence, her flair, her ability to electrify a crowd while still taking time to sign a little girl's ball after the game.
The maturity, the poise, handling every issue, lots of stuff thrown at her, lots of controversy, as you know, and everything about her, a maturity, an elegance, intelligence, and just also a sense of humor that you would hope to see in someone. And America, there she is.
That she's so famous, but is able to keep a level head amid all the crazy storm.
That's more than skill. That's brand power. And in the WNBA, a league long marginalized by mainstream sports media, Caitlin's meteoric rise didn't just elevate the game, it threatened the status quo.
She was 22, now she's 23. But all of this at age 22, I say she's 22 going on 40 or 50.
The WNBA had never experienced this kind of fame before.
Her handshake is firm. She looks you in the eye. We're the same height, basically. You know, just kind, thankful. You know, she's one of these people who thanks you for your coverage.
Serena Williams built her empire over decades. Simone Biles achieved greatness through Olympic brilliance. Caitlin? She's doing it in real time, as a rookie, in a league that wasn't prepared for this level of attention, especially from a white rookie in a league that's predominantly black and proudly queer.
She never said no comment. She never said, I don't want to talk about this. And a lot of the questions were also about basketball and what's she thinking and does she know when the ball leaves her hands that it's going in?
But that pride, as Brennan points out, has collided with resentment. And nowhere is that more visible than on social media. Every move Caitlin makes is scrutinized. Celebrate too much? She's arrogant. Too quiet? She's aloof. When opponents rough her up and fans call it out, the media gets accused of race baiting and stoking division. Even Brennan herself became part of the firestorm.
She missed 5 games. During those 5 games, the WNBA, their attendance, their TV ratings, they lost over half of their viewers. Disappeared. So Caitlin's gone, more than half of the viewers disappear. That didn't happen with Tiger Woods. That didn't happen with Magic or Bird or Michael Jordan, to lose that much of your fan base.
After she asked a WNBA player if a certain eye poke against Caitlin was intentional, she was bombarded online, accused of racism, misogyny, and worse. The Players Association called her question a baited narrative, but Brennan stood her ground and asked the hard question. Would people react this way if she'd asked the same question about a male athlete? And if not, who's really being protected here? What we're seeing isn't just about basketball. It's about race, gender, fame, and power colliding on center stage. And whether she likes it or not, Caitlin Clark has become the symbol of it all.
See those logo threes, she's, shooting from the parking lot and it's going in. That's where people who don't necessarily pay attention to or love basketball, they're intrigued by that.
But here's what makes her remarkable. She's only 23, and she's showing more grace and composure than many veterans. When Angel Reese taunted her after the championship game, Caitlin praised Angel instead of lashing out. When asked about racially charged online attacks, she made it clear, do not use my name to promote hate.
Continual analysis, controversy, racial, misogynistic, you name it. Everything got thrown at her.
Even at the peak of the drama, Caitlin stayed steady. The most powerful moment came when the internet erupted over her assist to Angel Reese during the WNBA All-Star Game. The pass, the bucket, the celebration. 2 supposed rivals sharing a highlight that silenced the noise. They slapped hands, smiled, and reminded everyone what this is really about: basketball. Still, the pressure hasn't let up. The WNBA now finds itself at a crossroads.
Here, when Caitlin Clark gets injured for the first time and she is out for a stretch of games, and the viewership drops over 50% across the entire league. We saw the price of ticket sales for Indiana Fever games when she was out. We saw those drop to as low as $7 to get into the game.
Players more visible than ever, yet some feeling sidelined. Leadership facing scrutiny for its failure to unify the league. And Caitlin? She just keeps playing, passing, and drawing crowds as the one player people can't stop watching. What started as hype has become a movement, and while the league wrestles with its own growing pains, one truth stands tall. Caitlin Clark isn't the problem. She's the proof that women's basketball was always worth watching. The world just needed someone brave enough to believe it.
This book drops tomorrow, and it is going to be hellfire.
The WNBA wanted the spotlight, and when Caitlin Clark brought it, they didn't know how to handle it. Instead of fully embracing the biggest star the league has ever seen, they've met her with jealousy, pushback, and politics. But Caitlin keeps showing up, keeps playing, keeps rewriting history.
There has to be a level of professionalism in professional sports leagues. And the WNBA, they haven't gotten there yet.
Her book isn't just breaking the internet, it's breaking the silence. It's pulling back the curtain on everything the league tried to bury. The favoritism, the double standards, the failure to lead. And still, Caitlin stands tall, not just as a player, but as a trailblazer, a role model, and proof that greatness doesn't wait for permission. This is bigger than basketball. This is about transformation. And Caitlin Clark is the change the WNBA needed, even if they weren't ready for her. If you believe in Caitlin, if you stand behind what she represents, drop A in the comments and let the world know. We're not backing down, and neither is she.